Hey, it's Dr. Ariel Policano with the Frequency of 528 podcast. I'm joined today by Karen Macdonald, and we're going to talk about some really incredible things to keep you healthy, to maintain wellness, as well as things that have gone on for the week. We'll talk about the jab, shedding, or transmission, what the latest and the greatest is, what we can do. Our whole goal here is to inform you, to really talk about the truth, but also to bring you really positive things that you can do in order to help yourself. So Karen, tell us a little bit about how you're doing.
Well, I'm just having a moving experience. I just came back from having a colon hydrotherapy today.
A moving experience.
Yeah, I used to say we were number one in the number two business, but flow and go. And I
One of the gals that does colonics here, one of the gals where the business they have is called All's Well that ends well.
I love that. Yeah, inner flow. I used to say getting rid of the royal flush or whatever. Yeah. But it was exciting because I actually tried out some new techniques using the Genius. So not only did I use the Genius, I used the Terahertz one, and it was very, very successful to use the plates and imprint the water as an additive today. So
okay,
all three of us felt it. So there was seriously, three of us went down. So that was 6 hours of colonics today.
Fantastic. Okay, 6 hours. So you gave the colonics. You didn't receive the colonic.
No, I received one. Can you tell I look high?
It is very you do get sort of a dopamine rush from doing the colonics, actually.
Oh yeah.
Your body sort of rewards you for doing something good. All right, let's jump in. Hey, Benet, how are you?
I am good. How are you gals? Good to see
you. For those of you who are watching the recording or watching us live, you may know Benet. She's an amazing trainer, and she is the first person often that somebody meets with after they get their Genius. So really, really appreciate you being here. And many people in our tribe, in our world, have asked us about the Terahertz technology. Now, many people know the iTera company. This has nothing to do with the iTera company, but if you have a wand through the iTera company, you're totally fine. You can still learn a lot from what we're going to share with you. Are you giving me hand signals, Benet?
No, sorry.
All right. So I thought maybe I was supposed to be, there's something I was missing. Okay. So yeah, anybody can join us and learn about terahertz. The reason we want to talk about it is because it's such a significant frequency technology, the terahertz, just the frequency itself, the blue light, everything in combination. Now at geniusbiofeedback.com, we are stocking a 7.0 wand, and Benet's going to talk about why the 7.0 is so important. And we're also stocking something, I'm going to call it the core box. It's also been called the magic box. And this box will run the terahertz frequencies and will also run red and blue light. So we're going to talk about all of these really just such cool technologies that are just really fun to play with, fun to learn about. So Benet, why don't you give us a little bit of perspective? We have a whole slideshow with information that we're going to go to in a moment, but just tell us what your experience has been and why you like these so much.
Okay, I'll give you a very brief synopsis of my issues, which is why I need to use several modalities. I love the Genius, but the Genius can't do all of what I need for it to do. I do not have any discs in my lower lumbar. I have
Are you kidding me? I didn't know that.
No, yeah. You wouldn't know by looking at me because I do see a chiropractor once a month, a massage therapist once a month. I have all these other modalities that I use that keep me very much mobile, but I am in pain with movement. And I have a pelvis that does not want to stay adjusted, which is why I need the chiropractor. But then you can imagine, knowing anatomy, when your pelvis will not stay adjusted, you've got all of your other ligaments, muscles that wrap around the psoas, everything. All of those start coming into play, and they're trying to compensate for what you're not in alignment with. So I have in my whole entire midsection is, usually in pain. So love the Genius. I've used it, used another biofeedback device as well. It definitely helps. Don't misunderstand. But when I came across the terahertz wand and realized what terahertz frequencies can do in addition and started using it, I started really experiencing even more relief from the pain that, I deal with on a daily basis. So I absolutely love it. I've had the wand for about 9 months, use it in my office, tell other people about it. They have bought it and they love it once they bought it.
Well, I want to pause you for a moment, and then we're going to go through some of the slides, and I want to kind of talk with you about some of the things that we now know about terahertz and get your perspective. So first of all, I'm so happy that you found something that's keeping you, that has you being in a lot less pain. I do, and anybody who's watching right now, if you're in the live stream, those of you joining us, you're welcome to ask any questions. I understand that a lot of you may already have your terahertz wand. You can still ask us questions just about using it with the Genius, whatever you want to know, you're welcome to. And of course, we have a different product, which is the box that we're going to talk about as well. But it does seem like the reason people are talking about the terahertz so much, Benet, is because it's unique in its ability to just act really quickly and to make a difference where other things are not making a difference. Would you say that that's true?
That's absolutely 100% correct, because the terahertz frequency range, those frequencies penetrate into the bone marrow. And so you have a regeneration of stem cells that can be activated. And that's key in a lot of ways.
You feel it almost instantly. There's something very warming, calming about that. And you want to get a good wand. And we're proud that here that it's not a multi-level marketing. We've got them reasonably priced. We're going to give everybody on here a special coupon for a discount in case you would like to get the box or the wand, but you don't have to. We really, the podcast is to educate people, and it's just really fun to talk about these technologies. But, Benet really got me, connected with a wonderful company that we're working with to make these, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful to look at, and they are very high quality, because I did have a different wand and it was terrible. It wasn't for my tarot, it was different, but you could just tell this is so solid and runs so well. So let's go through this, and then we're going to hear maybe a little bit more from Benet and also from Karen about their experience in using the wand. I just want to remind everybody that we're here 6:30 on Thursdays. And then in January, we're going to get really smoking. I think we're going to get some more guests scheduled working with Karen. We're going to have some more guests scheduled. But on the 19th, we have Sherry Edwards. And on the 26th, we have Greg Prescott. Those are going to be really fun podcasts. They're going to be very entertaining. And I think we're going to learn a lot, especially from Sherry Edwards, but also Greg with his In 5D, really talking about ascension and the future of humanity. Those are going to be great discussions. It's going to be myself and Karen talking to these folks. So I think that's going to be really fun. So what can Terahertz Technology do for you? That's what we want to talk about. And the cool thing that you're seeing on the screen there about the box is that it has red and blue light that come from there, as well as the terahertz frequency, and some metals that we're going to talk about that are really cool, that are actually contained within this silver sort of mirror containment or layer or whatever, and they run, or they have an effect. Iron, zinc, iodine, and titanium have a specific effect when you're running this box, which we'll talk about. So as Benet said, these terahertz frequencies they're found between far infrared and microwave. So if you go into like your far infrared sauna, the cool thing is that the healing is happening at a deeper level. The heating is happening deep within. And you're saying, Benet, that this is so deep that it goes into the bone marrow.
It does, because after you have a treatment, say 10 minutes, you turn it off, pay attention. Your bones are still warm for about 10 minutes after that. You feel it that deep within the body.
And you say that this bone marrow is creating a stem cell effect?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it can go 3 to 5 centimeters into the skin, directly act on deep tissue, and supplement the energy of our cells. It kind of gives our cells supportive energy in a similar way to the genius, but in an entirely different frequency and resonance. It tends to regulate the physiological functions in a positive way. And it can help, what I understand is it helps to build up good cells because of the high vibration, but it tends to encourage the elimination of abnormal cells or cells which are no longer beneficial.
Exactly, which you don't mean it to interrupt you, Ariel. You have to also be careful as to how long you use it, because what you just said can create a detoxation reaction.
So how long should, if people were to, now I used the wand for maybe 2 minutes last night because I was so busy, but immediately it's like my body relaxed. I feel like I went to sleep faster. But how long should people use the wand, regularly?
It's different for different people. And what I recommend to start with is use it for 10 minutes. See if you're fine with that. And another thing, there's 3 different settings. If you use it on the highest fan, highest heat setting, that is really the bolster setting. So you cannot use that as long as you can the first click. The first click would be the higher fan, but a little bit lower heat.
Right.
You can use that setting. I use it for up to 40 minutes. Somebody else may not be able to. So you've got to be careful, because I have had someone, a client of mine, end up overusing it. And they said, well, my God, I was sick. And I said, you not to do that. It also,
so you can have a detox, but the truth is you could have a detox and you could actually feel significantly better the next day.
Yeah, which they did. I explained, don't worry, you're having a detox reaction. It's miserable to start with, but it will dissipate. Drink plenty of water and, it'll get better.
Okay. Remember to only send information that we were going to maybe promote it on our website, Karen. So don't send them other products if you possible. It doesn't matter. So it's okay. We just want to know how to
going to everyone
about how to use it. Yeah, there's some information about how to use it. You can use it in combination with your genius. You can just run it at the same time as your genius. And in fact, you could do a before and after session where you run the genius and you see maybe what the aura looks like, and then you just run the terahertz wand, and then you could see what the aura looks like after running the terahertz for some time. Or you could run them simultaneously. They don't interfere in a negative way with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're beneficial, and I think we're going to find that they work really well together. So it acts on the subcutaneous tissue to help to maintain the wellness of the cells. And it actually, I guess that terahertz is something that the cells, almost like the sun, that they really like to soak up that energy. And so it can help to hydrate the cell better, and it can help the cell to just like eliminate waste better. Is that right, Benet?
Yes, good way to put it.
All right. It helps with blood viscosity. So here's, something people always ask about, is that like detrimental to anybody? I guess if they're on blood thinners, should they be careful? Because it could help make the blood thinner.
Certainly things you need to be careful with, but contraindications, not necessarily. There are 3 major contraindications that I tell people: do not wand or throw those frequencies over the top of a pacemaker, over any kind of implants, silicone implants, because you got to figure that this is heating up. It's going to heat through, and any metal in your body. Stay away from that. You can still use it, but don't go over the top of it in those areas. Be careful if you have diabetes, or be careful if you have, like what you're talking about, but use it less and see how it makes you feel. You've got to do some testing in your own circumstances, because everybody can be different.
Yeah, that's really good. A good recommendation. But usually if you didn't have some type of medical condition, it's really good, because the circulatory system is everything, and being able to improve the microcirculation is incredibly important. Now, this is why people feel better after using it, because pain is the body's request for oxygen. And if you could move blood more efficiently, through the blood vessels to the body, then it reaches the cells get oxygenated, they get nutrition. And so this terahertz can help. That's probably why people instantly feel better, because their blood is moving more efficiently. Karen, can you think of a situation where you were using the wand and somebody felt significantly better?
Yeah, me. I mean, where's the first one? You start with me. I had actually a little bit of pain, but I also had some deep cuts in my foot. And what I did is I had run it over for about 10 minutes. And again, there are procedures, for opening up hands. And I think important to look at the spectrums of where we're actually looking at, because I've been negating some stuff also with the EMF part of it. But what happens is when the feet actually in 8 days for 10 minutes each, which is basically an hour of my time, sealed up everything. I've had people in pain. I've had people with skin conditions already. And I mean, it's been amazing. And I've turned on like just tons of people. This is probably one of the most advanced techniques. The other thing is a caveat for contraindications, aside for just, let's say, having a pacemakers, anything with underlying things. So there are people that have pumps for morphine or different other kind of drugs. Absolutely no pumps, no electrical magnetic things. And the other caveat I would do is if a woman was pregnant. Also, if they were pregnant or maybe pregnant in the first trimester, you're not hitting certain acupuncture meridians either, because this is really designed based on traditional medicines, shamanic or traditional Chinese medicine meridians too. So
okay, so if they have titanium, then they shouldn't use it over those areas.
titanium, yeah, some of those are actually okay, like in there, because you're not doing that. It's just we need to look at them, what the actual spectrum is. And I don't know if you've got a slide of actually what the EMF light spectrum is. Because
yeah, we do. We do. Yeah, we'll get
so
to that.
you see that. Yeah.
We'll get to
that's
that
just
spectrum.
where it is. Yeah. I mean, you can avoid it and just be careful on different things, but titanium as a rule is a little different than other metals or something that's electrically magnetic paste to keep like
okay. But still, the only caution would be don't use it directly over or close to those areas.
Or eyes if you've got contacts and stuff like that. And even right on the crown, they're advising.
Because the contacts could get dry.
Absolutely. You can burn stuff in. So a lot of people are wanting like in a figure 8 and stuff too. So just be careful.
If you want to do your eyes, be sure that they are closed. Yes and no to the contacts, but in addition to that, have your eyes closed when you're wanding your face, because you can wand your face, it promotes collagen. So you over time can start diminishing your wrinkles. So just make sure that your eyes are closed. And another thing I'll add to you, Karen, I've had people with poison ivy, me included one. I can dry up poison ivy in 3 days. Severe case of it. That's unheard of with any even steroid topical. I've had people with psoriasis that have not been able to get rid of it for like 10 years. They started wanding. It took them a month, faithfully every day wanding, but they went from totally speckled psoriasis, red skin to absolutely perfect skin. I mean, it's super wonderful with any kind of skin conditions whatsoever.
The other thing too is, having said that, I mean, I've got mine on a microphone stand here. Okay. And you can get different stands in hair blower stands or whatever, but in here, what I did is also into the perineum, when you're opening up the actual kind of gate or the stargate, when you open up the heaven's gates, your conception vessels, a lot of people with sexually transmitted diseases, lesions and stuff like that, we've had decreases in as well. So the chronic conditions too, from what I can see, psoriasis and all that kind of thing is basically anywhere from 1 to 3 months. And that's people that have had it. I've had clients too, 20 years, like lifelong conditions. So I think it's pretty amazing for what we're sitting in here. I'd like to have a regen bed, almost like the red light beds would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, but it's nice to be able to get something. People are asking the difference, and we're going to ask Benet in a moment, the difference between the wand and the box. Now, from what I understand, first of all, we're only using the 7.0 wand is the one that we have on the website. So that's the gold one. And the 7.0 is very specifically powerful. So, and then we're going to contrast that with the box, and the box runs red and blue light with terahertz energy, whereas the wand only runs the blue light. And the box also has several crystals inside, these quantum, not the crystals, quantum chips. And these quantum chips really help to amp up the energy effect of the terahertz. And I'm going to let Benet educate us a little bit about what would you say are other differences between the wand and the box?
Well, the big difference comes in the benefit between the two. They stepped it up, the company, manufacturer stepped it up when they developed the box to go to work and add the red infrared light along with the blue, and to offer a cool setting. Some people don't care for the heat, you know, in certain situations. There is a cool setting on the box. There is not on the wand. And there is also the elements. You're talking the titanium, the iodine, the copper, and the zinc.
So those are built into the actual silver part, like the mirror part,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
so when you run the frequencies, when you're actually playing this, I'm not turning it on only because it's not really loud when you're in your room, but it might be loud on the microphone. Is that it's actually coming through. The benefit of the elements, the minerals themselves, is coming through when you're running the light or the terahertz frequency. Is that right?
They are blowing. Those frequencies are blowing onto you, into you. Because there is a more benefit from the box because of those added elements that they have done for that versus the wand. Don't get me wrong, the wand is a powerful tool, but the box is just another grade up.
Yeah, we'll keep talking about the two of them. The wand is a wonderful tool in and of itself. Now, the wand only has blue light. It only runs blue light. Now, some of the power of blue light, do we have some information, Benet, about specifically about blue light versus red? I think blue light is good for bacteria, viruses.
The blue light, come on, phone, turn the other way so I can
That's okay. Take your time. Let me just talk about that. There are three things in the wand: the blue light, the negative ion production, and then there's a quartz crystal, which is like a director of the energy, helps the energy to be directed more efficiently. And I know Benet can speak more to that.
The crystal amplifies.
Yeah, the crystal amplifies. It helps to move the energy.
Yeah, it amplifies. The blue light is popular for acne treatment for people of all ages. It can help clear up acne and treat sun damage. The most popular use of blue light therapy today is for the treatment of mild to moderate inflammatory acne. Blue light kills bacteria quickly, naturally, and without the effects. The red light is a treatment that may help skin, muscle tissue, and other parts of your body to heal. It exposes you to low levels of red or near infrared light. Infrared light is a type of energy your eyes can't see, but your body can feel as heat. Red light is similar to infrared, but you can see it. And then, of course, there's some other things. I won't take all the time to read a couple more of those paragraphs. Any kind of info that when a person gets the wand, you can ask for a PDF file from Dr. Ariel, because everything that like I'm reading or telling or whatever is all in this PDF file to give you all kinds of information on all of this
and
stuff.
anybody can request it.
Yeah.
So whether you get the wand from us or not, anybody can request. We'll be happy to share this information with you. So yeah, blue light has been associated with it's up on the screen now, the ability to kill bacteria, to help to promote, create a terrain to grow new cells. It also says it helps to promote the production of collagen. So it's actually really good for your skin.
That's why I said when you blow your face, which you can do every day, you over months of time, you have to be faithful with this. You can't pick it up once a week, once a month and expect, voila, I mean, it just doesn't work that way. But you can start diminishing wrinkles, because you will promote collagen, production as a result of this.
That's nice, because a lot of people, they try to drink collagen, which comes from animals and all types of strange things. And they do crazy things to try to get collagen into their body. So it's nice that just something is comforting, and having other benefits like the wand can help to do that and help to sort of reduce the visible effects of aging. So that's really great. So it has this wavelength. It's a high penetration visible light with a wavelength of 380 to 500 nanometers, just so people know what the wavelength is if they're nerdy and into that. The other thing that both of these devices do is they produce negative ions. So I have here that negative ions can stimulate the regeneration of skin, promote wound healing, and assist with immunity, help your immune function. Tell us a little bit about the negative ion production and the effects from your perspective, Benet.
Well, you know, the negative ion, when you think of negative ions, I think of these salt lamps, you know, and Karen, you probably can think of all other kind of things because you're this guru for all of this other kind of stuff, more so than me.
Right
But,
there.
yeah, I mean, you know, we want that reduction of that because the positive protons are not what we want. You know, that they produce the free radicals and this sort of thing. And so we do want more negative ions. The negative ions will stimulate things just like the slide is indicating. It is a regenerator of and for the skin and anything below the skin level because it's penetrating. And then when it's penetrating, it's promoting healing. You know, it's giving the cells the oxygen that it needs in order for the healing to take place.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. So no wonder people use it for a few minutes, 15 minutes, and they feel better. I think the key is finding a high quality type of device, which that's what you've got, connect us with somebody who's like so high quality. The company is so high quality and you can just feel it when you're using these. Another thing you told me is just to make sure it has the GFCI on it when you're using that terahertz.
Right.
So that was one thing that you let me know. And it just seems to work really well. It seems to go, you put it together, you just pop it together when you get the wand. It works great. The this one works, instantly. You could feel it. It's very, very powerful, this one, but it's very, very subtle. It's gentle. Those are the things that I've noted so far. And it's not copper though that's in here. It's iron, iodine, and zinc and titanium, which is weird. I didn't know titanium could have a benefit from running the frequencies.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Actually,
So that's kind of interesting. Now, what's the difference? Some people out there will be very, very, I think, kind of fooled by the 6.0. We are going to offer those eventually for like a much lower price point, but why would people generally want to avoid the 6.0?
Well, first of all, let me say this. There are knockoffs to the wand. You have got to be careful buying things, off of other sources. I won't name names or platforms. You know what some of those are that are out there. You can, buy different things off of. You have to be careful. Karen held it up before. I don't have a wand in front of me. I got a box, but I don't have a wand. The tube that is on the wand, if you look down the shaft, don't be fooled. That's not a piece of glass in there. That is a quartz blown crystal, which amplifies things. The knockoffs are a piece of glass in there.
Whoa. Wow.
And you're not going to have, I did a lot of research on this, largely because unfortunately I did get involved with another source and it just wasn't good. I'm not going to get into that. I don't.
Yeah. Don't name. Yeah. You don't have to say, but yeah, we've tried to vet this and get the very best, most reliable one.
I learned by doing the research on, a solid original manufacturer, which is where these are coming from that Dr. Ariel is getting. They are the actual quartz crystal in there, which then has the terahertz chip in there. And of course, the blue light is generated by the motor on the back, half and so forth. So you do have to be careful. The 6.0 is I don't want to say it's the original because there actually was like a 2.0, a 5.0, and then a 6.0. All right. The upgrade from the 6.0, which is what an MLM is selling, they are not selling the 7.0, which is an upgrade. The 7.0 is an upgrade to the 6.0. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. I have a friend
feel it. You could feel it when you use it. It's really palpable.
And
What's
I've got a
that?
friend that's highly frequency sensitive. I made him do it in a blind study. And I said, you tell me what the difference is between all three of these. Boy, he said, this one is doing this and whatever. I mean, he can feel in the body where it's being affected. And he said,
That's Jacques. That's Jacques. He's so intuitive.
yeah, it
He's
is.
like a psychic. Yeah.
And he nailed it. I mean, he nailed it without me telling him what it was. He said, well, this one has got more oomph to it, you know, which is the 7.0 versus the 6.0. So there's definitely a difference.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Here's the chart that you were asking for, Karen, and it gives the different waves here. It says the terahertz refers to electromagnetic waves with frequencies in the range from 0.1 to 10 terahertz and wavelengths, which is 3,000 or 30 micrometers. This band of electric radiation lies in the transition region between microwave and far infrared. So obviously in a very safe zone, but terahertz has actually been researched for a long time and known about. And I guess they just started to put it into this type of sort of, you can use it at home sort of, you know, configuration, because people are more open to things that are frequency and light. I just want to jump in here, and Tammy says, can you briefly demonstrate or turn on both of them? Absolutely. It is a little bit noisy. Let's see if we can, let's see what happens when we do this. So if we turn it on, that high one,
It's about like a hair
you can see
dryer.
the blue light coming out. And then it goes to a medium setting, which is more quiet. The medium setting is a bit more quiet. Now we're going to ask Benet about these different settings. And I believe that medium setting is the one that's warmer, and you instantly get that really comforting warmth. It's wonderful sort of before you go to sleep. It'll put you into like a deep state of sleep. And then you have the high, which feels a bit cooler, but I guess it's a lot stronger. So Benet, tell us a little bit about these different settings, the low, medium, and high on this wand.
Okay, if you want to start slow, I would suggest the first setting, which is going to be a high fan, warm air. It's not going to be hot, okay? And if you can put it all the way up to your skin almost, and you're not going to burn yourself. The second, and that would be the starter, because I say you can use that setting longer, then I'm going to escalate now. The second setting is low fan, but high heat.
It's really nice and warm. It's the highest heat.
Okay.
But I have to say the knockoff that I had gotten first, sort of accidentally, it was way too hot. It was almost burning hot. And this is never, in my experience, like an uncomfortable hot. I mean, you do have to be careful, but you're really going to be hard to where it feels more comforting than anything that feels excessive in my experience.
Right.
Go right ahead.
The third setting, though, is high heat, high fan. And some people will not be able to take the wand. I'll use the box instead because I don't have the wand, and my background usually knocks everything out anyway. But, you know, you can put the first two settings, you can put this much away from you. But when you go to that high heat, high fan, you may need to be as far as 18 inches away from the skin. It may be too hot for some people. Others, it might be okay to be closer. But remember this, the higher the heat and fan, the greater immediate penetration, the faster the penetration.
So if you're in pain and you're not feeling well, I also was actually feeling a cold coming on, and all day I had a little bit of a cough. And my experience always is I have to always nip that in the bud. If I don't catch it at the beginning, it goes right into bronchitis. And so I was taking this wand, and I was taking this, and I was using the front of my lungs, and I was going to the back of my lungs. Within 15 minutes, no cough, nothing. Yeah. It was amazing.
It is amazing. The tools are amazing. I can't talk enough about them. They are.
Yeah, they're really extraordinary.
They are.
All right. So it says it reduces, I think this reduces bad cells and strengthens the DNA and organic molecules. The terahertz resonates with our cells and enhances self-repair. I mean, something about that is you want to bring up the energy of the good cells, and you want to encourage the abnormal or worn out cells to go into apoptosis. So I get the sense from reading the literature that it kind of encourages that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, let's look. And so again, Tammy was I think I have to move this one doesn't have the longest cord here, but to talk about this one, which is the box. So the box runs red and blue light. So let's see if we let's look at the side here. We've got some controls. So if we just turn it on, then the first one is the red, right? So you've got the red light there, and you've got the infrared. It's glowing, but it's not super, super hot. So then we can, on the buttons, we can switch the color to blue. So now it's running blue light. And then we can make it stronger, which is this one. Now, none of them get super, super hot. So tell us a little bit about the red, blue, high, low setting on the box.
Well, you don't need to have the feeling of too much heat when it comes to the box. I think when they developed the box and added the extra elements into it and the red light, that automatically gave greater benefit. They didn't need to try to have the benefit come from more heat, more fan or whatever, because you will notice that there is greater benefit. There are 5 terahertz chips in there, which is what's showing on your picture with those blue circles around there.
And I want to pause there for a minute. The terahertz chips, each chip is running a terahertz frequency. So you get the amped up power of like a 5x by getting the benefit of 5 times the amount of terahertz frequency. Is that how it works?
Right. That's exactly why, and part of what makes the box more beneficial. That's
So
part of it.
So does the wand have 1 chip in it?
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's just 1 chip in there. It's embedded in the quartz crystal.
It just sounds like that the box would be so far superior, but is there any use case for having the wand? Is it easier to maneuver into certain places? Any use case really for the wand versus the box, or use case for having both of them?
I have both. I use both. What I find with clients is it's a matter of which one can you afford or do you want to spend money on? If you can go, to the box rather than the wand, you have more compacted benefit in the box. Put your money in the box. If you can't, and you can at least get the 7.0 wand, then get the 7.0 wand, because you are going to have a whole lot of benefit. Don't underestimate the 7.0 wand just because
it's really a good quality. Now, of course, we're as a company, we warranty all of these for a year, so we will replace them if something should go wrong. But so far your experience, Benet, has been really, they work pretty well. They're pretty durable.
I haven't had any kind of failure on them. I have been told by the company that when it comes to the box, which the box is just a brand new launch. So I've only had the box since they launched it about 6-7 weeks ago. It's brand new, but they have told me that there is a 1% failure rate on the box. I haven't had any wands at all, come back for 9 months.
Well, we'll certainly stand behind them and replace them if anything should go wrong. We're here. We've been here for 10 years and we're not going anywhere. So we'll stand behind certainly what they get. So the terahertz frequencies can clear meridians. They can unblock meridians. So I think it would be fun to run the Genius and see which of the meridians are red and blue, and then run your terahertz, whether the wand or the box, for 15 minutes and go back and retest the meridians. Tell us a little bit about that, Benet.
That's an excellent idea right there. I do use the Genius, find out what meridians, points, not just the conception vessel, but go in the conception vessel, find out where your points are, with the gallbladder or whatever, and then put the box or the wand over the point.
That's really cool. because the Genius will
know.
show you which ones are red and blue, and it'll
Yeah.
actually show you where those points are. And then
Yeah.
you can actually run it over the acupuncture meridian and the specific
Exactly.
points, just like when you do acupuncture, you have to go to an acupuncturist and pay for that session. You could do it instantly with the wand or the box.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
going to say I was doing that for my clients in here. So not only can we run the scan through your meridian, but the points, but you can also, then there are actual procedures if you dig a little bit deeper in your PDFs and stuff, is that there's actually recommended protocols for, let's say, if you had a liver or gallbladder. So going into those points and opening them up and before, and that's where these stands come in. Or with the, like phone, you can get the selfie sticks, which are really inexpensive, and have them sit there, because it's not just about sitting there and opening up the palms first and the, different meridians to clear and get your lymphatics draining, because there is actual better procedures for some of this. And that way they can sit there. Like the other night, I had it sitting on there for like 15, 20 minutes. Or if someone wanted to fill it, a lot of hairdressers, and not only myself, because of the hair thinning and loss we're seeing with the radiation and the contact vaccinosis, is we've been using them as hair dryers. And that's another thing. And for anything dental, periodontal, including myself, you can sing into it, but that's where someone actually notices and really can feel it.
I think for the dental issues you've been working on, Karen, I think this is going to be amazing.
Oh, this is a game changer here.
Yeah, I think it's a game changer. I really want to know if you get a little bit of make some progress on the issues that you're working on. I'd love to hear about that and see if that's a good use for the terahertz frequencies.
Well, definitely. Plus I use the water. And today, like I said, in the colonics, we went from doing the actual implant water from using the remedy plates, just kind of like when I used to do blood on the plates, but I did water this time. And then we tried it with half. And then the other half, I terahertz that with the already Genius water, just to see the different results. And so I could feel it actually immediately the minute it entered into the implant. So the minute it hit my root chakra, I was actually releasing in the colonic. So you can't get anything too much faster than what we just have put together with, that kind of a protocol.
This is going to be an awesome tool, an adjunct for what you're doing. Like, that's amazing. Yeah, everything that you're doing, like, this is going to be really cool in combination, which you're already doing. You're so much on the front lines. Amazing. Congrats to Kathy, who just got her box. I'm super excited to get this over to you, Kathy. And she took advantage of this is only for people on the podcast. We put a $50 coupon, TERA 50, because we wanted to really reward our wonderful followers who come to the podcast and hang out with us. We got a 24-hour coupon that we put in there for you. So, and this is on top of special pricing, because everything that you see right now is really excellent pricing for these devices. So they're really comparable to the MLM, and these include shipping as well. So for our domestic folks anyway, and then just a small shipping charge for international.
One of the things I was noticing between your different things, like whether it's the 6 to the 7 or whichever different ones, or whatever different, I'm going to say grades or whatever, from beginning, whatever classic, whatever you go into, is it's usually the wattage. So a lot of them I was finding, like some of the beginning, it's like having a NutriBullet. Some are at like 800 watts. And as you go into some of the higher grades, they were just like up to 1200 watts. So that was, and some of the different features as well. So when you get into the analysis of the electrical schematics, that was actually one of the other differences I noticed as well for people. So that's just something to, bear in mind. And
yeah, for sure.
If I might just add here quickly, I've received, I don't know how many emails already and questions, because I'm in so many of the different groups. This is not the same type of thing that is used in the airport security scanners, which is a terahertz. Those go right through, because you're put right through like into a microwave. As Benet was saying, these are actually going through a chamber. There is a chip and they're diffused, and you've got crystals. So this is not the same thing. And also the other thing that was coming up, there are people that were putting their EMF meters up to it, by the way, and they were using cheap little things that are called a single axis. So when we've actually measured these with proper trifields, there's really not any EMF issues, because that became something people have been putting this crap out. And I have tested stuff around here, as of other people, but know what kind of a field. Those cheap single fields that we use for whether Geiger or for, in this case, an EMF or RF field, is actually, like I said, there's a big difference from a single cylinder to a triple trivector. And those measure up to 30 gigahertz. This thing's starting at 300. So, I mean, they're not even measuring on the same spectrum. That's why I was going to ask you if you had actually the light
You know,
spectrum.
I can measure these because I have EMF
Yeah.
measuring devices, but I will say this, that you're using it for a relatively short amount of time. You're not going to be running it while you're sleeping, or so even if it was a little bit, you know, it's going to be so beneficial to you unless you're very electrically sensitive. And even the resonances within the wand itself or the box are going to be mitigations to EMF. What do you think? What are your thoughts about that, Benet?
I would agree with that. Yeah, I
Mhm.
would.
There's some great questions for everybody, you know, who's in here. We have some awesome questions. So Sandra says, if I want to use them in the clinic, would I benefit from having the 7 wands or boxes for clients to rent, or do they need an education about how to use them? So if she took like a good deposit, she trusts her clients, could they just go ahead and Benet, use them at home?
That's what I'm doing. I sell them to my clients and they take them home. They use them every day. They don't have to make appointments with me to come and get wanded or apply the box. I mean, by the time I do 10 appointments, they could have bought their own, you know, type of thing. So, oh, they're very receptive to buying the wand or the box.
Rent it, or she could rent it for a day just for them to get
Sure.
used to it, and then so
Sure.
forth. Do you have to, do you want to have a longer cord than the box? Just wondering from the outlet, it's not that short. It's just that I'm set up like a studio here, trying to get all of my plugs and lights. So I had to go to a different outlet. So it's not really that short. The wand is a little bit longer, but just get an extension cord if you really need to move about. It's not limiting at all. It's not like super short, like the silly Apple Mac ones. It's long enough to be able to utilize it and move around. Don't you think, Benet?
Yes, I've never had to even put an extension on mine because the cord is fairly long.
Yeah, it's just that I had to put it all the way on the other side of the room because I've got all the lights and the computers in front of me. So that's
right.
That's why. And so Janie, we'll get to your question in just a moment. There was another thing that Tammy maybe asked, does the box blow air as well? Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
It's the box is just a little bit, it has a warm setting and it has a cool setting. Yeah, you can so it can blow cool air. I take it for some reason that the box does not need to blow as hot air of the air. Or do you have any thoughts about that, Benet?
It doesn't need to. And I think the reason why it doesn't need to is you're talking about 5 terahertz chips in there versus what the wand's got in it. And you've got the other elements and you've got red light. All of those are combining to give you a much greater effect that you don't have to try to be doing it through the pushing out of, you know, more air or more heat.
Yeah. So it's more efficient. So it doesn't need the heat that the wand does. That's very, very interesting. So, and there was Janie says, I got here late. Are you talking about we're talking about the terahertz wand. So I don't know if that's the same, but these are different. These are ones that we've sourced for our Genius Biofeedback here that we feel are exceptional, that we feel work really well. And we've been sort of showcasing those and talking about just terahertz in general, how good it is for really supporting the cell. It sort of creates coherence in a similar way that the Genius does, but sort of does it from a different angle. The terahertz frequency is something your cells really, really like, almost like the sun. They like to sort of, you know, just soak it up. And it seems to get very deep because it's sort of like infrared, far infrared technology. And so it goes deep inside the body and it can go as deep as the bone marrow. And within the bone marrow, it seems to stimulate stem cells. Now, do we have any research on that, or do you know why people are making that assertion, Benet?
It does come from the manufacturer. There is a sentence that I think it's going to be in one of your PDF conglomerate papers, you know, it does state that in a sentence that it does stimulate the stem cell, you know, regeneration.
Fantastic. Okay, that's good to know that they really stand behind that. Kathy had a question for you. She says, Benet, I'm so happy to see you. Do you wand your water? So do you structure your water with the wand?
Yes, I do. And especially I've gotten lax about that lately, but I've become suspicious in my case personally. and I've started back doing it again. I don't think that my cells are, I drink a lot of water all day long, and then all day and all night, I'm going to the bathroom way too much. I don't think my cells are absorbing
Right.
at a lower level as well. So I thought just a couple days ago, I thought, you know what? I need to drink nothing but the wanded water and see if I can tell a difference. And I am feeling that I'm telling a difference. I don't go to the bathroom as much. I drink as much water.
That's
as what
awesome.
I
You
can.
may have made the kidneys better too. So tell us, how do you wand the water? If you take this wand and you run it over the water, how long are you doing it for?
You need to have glass or porcelain, no plastic, nothing, you know, nothing like that. You can take the wand or the box and you can literally put it right side by side through the glass and leave it sit there for about 2-3 minutes, and your water will be wanded. The molecular structure will change the water from the wanding or the boxing, whichever way you want to put it. So
Fantastic.
and that's what I feel is getting down to a lower cellular level. I think that is my theory is working from what I can tell.
If you look at what it's actually doing to the water, as opposed to when you see some of the different machines out there, which claim to be doing the microclustering, this does not microcluster it. What it's doing is it's lining it up one by one. So it's actually filing it in on the water molecules, the hydrogen.
Oh, wow. That's
oxygen.
interesting.
So
good.
it's not actually, because a lot of people think, oh, it's like, I'm rehydrating, so it must be like my Kangen water. It's not. So it's doing a different type of restructuring or reframing of the water itself, which is why it's hydrating. And what I found is that I've been using the water, like making the remedies on the actual Genius plates, whichever ones you have here. And then I go in a terahertz, because you can.
That's really cool. So you get two types of
Yes.
changing the frequency of the water.
Which is exactly what I put through all the colonic machines, and we felt it. We felt it in 30 seconds.
That's amazing.
In
Oh,
there.
wow.
So
So you did
the
the frequencies, Genius frequencies, and then
Wow.
terahertz, and then ran it through the
Right.
colonic water. Like, that's
Now,
amazing.
one other thing just to give you is what I've been doing with some of the people is we were doing the essential oils, and instead of using like a driver or like raindropping, I have done the essential oils, and you're also smudging the exterior of the biofield. So your Oric Merkaba.
Well, you know what? You just made the most perfect segue for us to talk about, because this little area right in here, you can put essential oils right in here, and it will run the terahertz frequency through the essential oil. It's so cool. Benet, have you done that?
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but you beat me to it.
Only because Karen gave us the intro with the essential oils. I'd completely forgotten about it. But tell us a little bit about your experience of doing that.
Well, obviously any of us who do use essential oils, I mean, just by themselves, there's great, frequency benefit from them. But if you start using that in that little red hole and you're blowing terahertz frequencies through the essential oils, you are getting multiple layered benefits from the essential oil itself. So
That's really
absolutely,
cool.
I would say that you should do that. And that little red piece will come out. You're going to ask yourself, well, how the heck can I put an oil in there? And then I want to put something else in there different. And it comes out, that little red.
So you just sort of pull,
push
pull
it,
at it.
pull it out, pull out on the back, Ariel, if you want to show them. Pull on the back piece here.
Oh, this piece.
Yeah, pull it out. And then that's the piece that can be right here.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Pull it
Okay,
out.
there we go.
Yeah.
Here's this, and then here's this.
Wash
And
this.
so you just,
then.
so it really can contain that oil. Wow, that is so cool. Oh, I'm glad we talked about that.
So
The
that's
other
how
thing-
you can change your oils.
One of the things too I was doing is like people where we do raindrop or aromatherapy touch, like what I was doing with some of the people who've had some chronic is putting the essential oils on the skin, just like where you're massaging in, and then using this, but I've also added it with the amethyst crystal biomat. So I combined actually the two different kind of ionic fields to play with what you've got with near infrared in an amethyst bed with the client.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
the Genius and the terahertz.
I mean, those
That's
people are
cool.
good. That it's like you've created your own med bed.
I have, and I actually had it way before Daniel Brinkley went, to Saved by the Light and had his near death. I actually had a vision of what the new crystal rooms would have been.
Well, it'd be
And-
good to let's just start doing it. There are a couple of questions here. Lisa says, I make my own colloidal silver. Can I wand my silver? What do you think, Benet?
You can wand your silver, you can wand your vitamins, you can wand your minerals. You will enhance them.
The
Anything.
terahertz, it sounds like it really potentiates the energy of
Yeah.
anything that you apply it to. It's sort of,
Yes,
it
it does.
enhances, it increases it.
It does. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's I don't know. I get excited talking about it. It's phenomenal. It really is.
And Tammy says, did you say there's PDF instructions for both devices as well as protocols? Yes, we have some good PDFs. In fact, I didn't get a chance to load it, but we have a wonderful extensive one, Benet, that shows all the different places, right? To where you, and it shows it for different conditions as well. Like, we'll definitely include this for you, Tammy, when you get it. It includes all of these different diagrams, exactly where to put the wand on the cervical spine. It goes through hair problems. It goes through how to work on the eyes, the ears, toothache. Back to Karen, how to do that, cough and cold. And it shows the exact spots where to run the frequencies. And really anybody who's watching the podcast will be happy to share this with you, but especially our folks who are getting the box or the wand, we want to make sure you have, instructions and you have a manual and you know how to use it. And we're going to be doing some ongoing trainings and classes actually about how to use these. So it'll be really fun just to have in our community, and how do you combine it with the Genius, and how do you do water and things like that. Nancy asked, how much are they? It's $377 for the wand, and you use the coupon that we are going to put in there into the chat. Again, you're going to get $50, and then for the next 24 hours, just away. This is already special pricing, but we just wanted to thank all of our loyal podcast folks. So we're going to do an additional $50 off of this. And then this one is $497. You can get $50 off of this. So I think that's really good introductory pricing for folks to. It's a great deal, even at the regular pricing, but we gave you that little reward encouragement to get it. And Amy sort of had the same question. Does the box and wand come with helpful manuals? Yes, we'll definitely help you with that, give you a use case, like how to use it, why to use it, things like that. And we can even provide you with the slides that we use tonight, so it's easier to continue to learn more about it. So these are great questions. Anything you wanted to add, Benet?
Not at this point, not yet.
I've got one.
Yeah, go for it, please, Karen, go for it.
Okay, when I used to run my centers, a lot of people used to bring in a lot of state of the art to get my recommendations of referral, right? And what happened is, way back when, I don't know if you've ever been in them area, but they were like the Vogel beds. And so they were actually,
the Vogel, yeah, the Vogel crystal beds.
but what we had, and we also used to have like very, very small, but they used to run the gemstones through, and we would run this kind of the light spectrum through, but not a crystal, but the actual gemstones, because it changes when you go through rubies or, emeralds and a little higher gemstones. So one of the things too, and they used to be like $15,000-$20,000. We used to play with them back then. This is something that you could just put the crystal or a gemstone in front of as well, not just the essential oil. Just like when we did amethyst beds, we didn't need just amethyst. I could put any other crystal. So don't hesitate to put the essential oil on. And also, if you've got some of these different crystals, to do that as well.
That's awesome. No, that's a great idea. I love it.
It's going to amplify and release literally thousands of years worth of dormant DNA information in the crystals alone. And you'll be changing it.
Yeah,
That's absolutely fantastic.
good idea.
How does the terahertz healing work for cellulite, varicose veins, or spider veins? Have you done any work with this, Benet?
I come across an awful lot of testimonials through a private Facebook page. So I've seen everything and anything, and I'm not exaggerating. Varicose veins, I have seen pictures before where it's not just the little spider veins. I've seen that, but I've seen where the bulging varicose veins are.
Right. People don't
picture.
like those.
And then they've used the wand for a period of time. That's going to be different for everybody. You have to be faithful to do this every day if you're trying to get rid of a good, substantial issue. And I've seen it where the varicose veins are gone. I've seen where there was a cyst, you know, the size of bigger than a golf ball, you know, protruding through the skin or whatever. They wanded the cyst, totally got the cyst to go away.
That's amazing.
I mean,
yeah,
I've
that's
seen
incredible.
all kinds of stuff. Hair, they've grown hair where they didn't have hair before. You know, the thing is, you do have to use it every day for some of these bigger issues in order for you to really start seeing the results, maybe in a month, 2 months, whatever it may be for the person.
So increasing that circulation so powerfully, that probably helps a lot with the varicose veins, and reducing the cysts. That's probably because it reduces all of the metabolic waste. So in naturopathic school, we really learned that a cyst is like when the liver and the colon, Karen, we're not able to do their elimination, then you start to wall away and build up the different waste in different parts of the body. And that's really what a benign cyst, part of it, what it is. And so if you have a way that you can start to clear the metabolic residue from the body and improve the circulation and the lymphatic drainage, it's no wonder that it goes away.
And I think one of the things you bring into that, it's the hydration. I can't get over the amount of people when I've been doing, it's not just face reading in traditional Chinese medicine, but we're actually reading tongues, or I'm reading the eyes and iridology or whatever we're doing, or even the live blood on the genus that we've done, is what you're seeing is this whole shift in those people. And in here, when you get the water molecules rehydrating at a much, much more penetrating level, it makes a huge difference to people. So part of that is that they also suggest usually is at least 2 glasses. So that's a lot. That's 4 glasses, 2 glasses of water before and 4 after. You have to facilitate the elimination and the drainage and keeping things moving. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is an actual, it's not a microwave, but it's still got its purposes there. So make sure you hydrate, and preferably spring water if you can, or Terahertz, or use your Genius on the water, you guys.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I want to congratulate Amy, just got the box. The box is really like, people are really liking the box. It makes sense because it's so powerful, and it's got all of the terahertz crystals in there. And Sandra, I want to congratulate you. I hope you'll be renting those out to your clients, and you'll still get the additional, that discount, because you got 2 of them. So we'll make sure you get that credit back. But I'm really excited you're going to be using it in your practice. And I'd love to hear from each one of you that are getting the wand or the box, how it's working for you with the Genius and how it's working in your practice. And we'll hear from people ongoing, the powerful changes that they're making with these. So that's really exciting.
And I know there's some of the different therapists too, like down the States. One was Asha, and she's been using all these technologies as well for a lot too. And a lot of people with head injury, seasonal affective disorder, depression, anxiety. This is perfect, this kind of stuff, when you're combining this kind of light and sound technology. And it's not that far either. I mean, I've still used, this was another thing. I used like 3-4 therapies on someone today, just out of the, what Ariel's got available to you guys, because this is also part of that light and different frequencies going even through the LED insight. It's not that different,
Yeah, they're similar in many ways. It's using the light. Yeah. It's just that one doesn't have the terahertz frequency. So that's what missing. It has the PEMF, which is good. I just think that the terahertz is so compelling. We did have a question here that asks, V says, I think V already, maybe you have a wand and you've been using it. And because the water is linear and gets into the cell, it takes nutrients inside too. So you won't need as much, saving money on supplements. I muscle test and don't need my supplements as often, I guess, from where she's wanding herself on a regular basis. And then Margaret says, I guess for hair loss, the wand might be better. I'm not sure why she's saying that. What are your thoughts, Benet?
I don't know. I can't see where the wand would be better. I don't know as the wand or the box would be better over the other. I think the box is so brand new. Like I said, the box is only newly launched about 7 weeks ago. So I don't see that there would be, a greater benefit with the wand over the box. No. The other thing I will mention before I forget, don't forget about your animals. Wanding or box using.
Oh, that's a great point. Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How do you deal? So I know you foster the dogs. And what do you have is it Pomeranians that you
I have
foster?
got Pomeranians, yes.
Now,
And
I know they're high strung anyway. How do you get them past the bit about the fan? Like they might be wary of the fan. How do you get them past that?
you know what's funny? I mean, anytime they're kind of, you know, something's not right, they got a cough or they're looking a little sicky or something, they got a little bug or something, maybe they ate something out in the yard. I will wand them, but they may have an initial reaction like a hair dryer, but not all of mine are used to grooming, so it's no different than a hair dryer.
Okay.
But what's so funny is my littlest one is prone all the time to some sort of a skin rash. She would push her butt up and down on anything she could get, a wall or whatever. She'd rub her hair off the back part of her lower spine by her tail. Ever since I've had the wand, and I wand her for 2 minutes every day, I have not had to have a single pill to put down her throat for any kind of allergy, you know, skin reaction whatsoever. And they lay like, oh, you know, they lay like a dead possum. They
That's awesome.
love the terahertz frequencies. They
That's
love the
amazing. That's
feeling.
amazing. They feel it like the sunshine.
Oh, yes, they love it.
Fantastic. We're really, really cool. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. So your cat, your dog, any
Yes.
animals that you have, and probably for children too. You can use
yes.
infants and children. It's safe for them.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
I
very,
did-
very good.
I did,
Congratulations to Cheryl on getting the box. I'm excited. I'm going to be really excited to get these all out to people tomorrow. So I'm excited to get them rolling. And I know we're going to get Karen a box too. So
I was just going to
you'll
say,
enjoy
I was
using it.
using this on some animals a few months ago, and that had almost like a hip dysplasia. It wasn't quite, the dog had been in an accident, so it was also hip displacement and stuff. And I noticed even within about half an hour, 20 minutes of doing that, the dog was actually walking much more straighter. You'll see some people, I've had some people, I'll just say with the shedding transmission, I have a new word, it's called axination V. If you guys can speak pig Latin.
I love that. Yeah.
Axination V is my new word. But what happens is when this kind of technology, and it was actually a lot by the Russian, by the way, where it came, it was over $250,000 when they first started putting this kind of technology out years ago. So this is where it's come down to, like, open to the general population. And so some of the other things too was using it for hydroponics. So you could put your water on the Genius plate and then terahertz it also to the plants, sprouting, hydroponics, all sorts of things like that is another possibility. So don't forget the gardening aspect.
Growing food and gardening. Like that
Oh,
would be really
yeah.
cool
Yeah.
to put on house
seen-
plants and your garden.
And
That's a
really
great
right
idea.
now, yeah, with the axination V, I'll just say is people think, you know, the old, you know, sort of transmission stuff, what we call, you know, contact axinosis V. I'm really great at pig.
Believe me, probably the NSA, they couldn't figure out pig Latin if they tried. So I think it's a hilarious thing.
Thank you. I think I'm the first one that started it, by the way. So I started going, oh my gosh, I got it. Anyway, but how to beat the AI on the algorithm. But anyway, in here, that's what's been happening, because remember, this thing is transmission and it's electrical magnetic. That's why things stick, you know, with the stuff that's in the, you know what. So in here, and that was the other thing I used, colloidal. This one is the colloidal silver, gold, platinum, copper, and zinc that I've been
Oh, that's
using
really
well
cool.
in the tea.
Was that colloidal?
Yeah, it's all colloidal. I don't want to go into anything nano, absolutely not, but colloidal, yeah, like from 10 to probably 100 parts per million. But this is a 5 colloidal blend that you could put on topically as well. And once you got something like that in the field, and then you terahertz here or put your hydrosols out, think of what you're actually doing, you know, for to stop that thing and strengthening it up here, because some of it's airborne from that weird, you know, stuff, geoengineering and aerosols. So this is another thing that's part of the protocols as well. We've been looking at and developing in combination with what we've all got in our little toolboxes here. So I just
That's
wanted
fantastic.
it's
I
been
wanted
helpful.
to make sure that I touched on a comment that was in here that was about hydrocephalus.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the one that I think you were answering as well, Karen, but
Yeah,
about
why.
COVID. Would this help with my dad with hydrocephalus? Do you guys have any thoughts?
You want to go first, Benay?
I do believe so. I mean, like I was sharing, I mean, I have just seen all kinds of things. Parkinson's, I've seen where, you know, a part of a face was just sunk lower and they used the wand, you know, and it lifted the face. I mean,
Mhm.
I have seen all kinds of stuff. I literally would say, try it on anything. I would venture to say it's going to improve it if you have the repetitive stamina. I've got some of my people who, you know, they've got the idea that they can pick this up once a week and eradicate some of these major more issues. No, use it every day and you will be amazed after a month or so what you can correct. And it's another thing it's absolutely wonderful for is arthritis. You know, talking about stiffer joints and arthritis, it's very helpful for that as well.
Oh, that's great. A lot of people have problems with their hips, their knees, and it would be wonderful to be able to
Absolutely.
terahertz in the morning, at night, and see that
Yeah.
make a big difference. And it's actually not just removing the symptoms, removing the pain. It is literally helping to repair those joints by working on the connective tissue, working on the surrounding muscles. So
It
it could conceivably, it wouldn't be just something like, oh, I have to wand, you know, every day for the next 20 years. Like you may have to wand a lot less over time, if not at all on that particular area, although you probably still want to wand for overall health. So that's really exciting. We got
One of-
some more questions coming through. Amber says, I'm sorry if the price was discussed already. I hopped on a little late. How much is the box? The box is $497. We're going to put a code in there again for $50 off for our podcast listeners here for the next 24 hours. So that one is $497 and then get $50 off. And then the wand itself is $377 and there's a $50 coupon for that as well. We'll go ahead and we're going to put the links into the chat here in just a moment, as well as the coupon, which we'll put that as well.
Can I just do
Go ahead.
something?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I just want to address the hydrocephalus, by the way, because I am a former, yeah, I'm not still a nurse, but former neonatal. You've got to remember
Yeah.
what the actual cause of this is. So we can't just put a blanket thing, because you can have children with spina bifida. Encephaly is another one. You can have it acquired. It could be congenital. And then one of the other things too is obstructive. Let's say if you've got cerebral spinal thing. And a lot of people, if they don't know what they're talking about, what we're talking about is a brain that the buildup in this fluid is coming in. And another thing that can happen is what I'm seeing a lot, by the way, with the increase, because now we're at 5.1, by the way, kind of 5G right now, I'll just say, going to 6. And what's happening is that we're having a lot of clients now with the buildup, with the increased radiation and stuff that's going on, is their eyes are starting to get, they're busting the blood vessels. And I've had a lot of people with increased high blood pressure, because that's another thing of what can be causing some of this hydrocephalus. Is the increase in there. So we have to kind of look at what it is and what the cause is on that, because it's not just, you know, hydro being water and cephalus meaning the head, you know, so there are a lot of things in there. So in some of those cases, and if you had, let's say if I had clients, let's say with actual petit mal and seizures and stuff like that, there are some caveats to the game, just to be a little bit, you know, cautious on some of these things. So it depends on what the cause of that hydrocephalus is. Even it could be congenital or stuff like meningitis or certain things like listeria or things that can cross into the blood-brain barrier. So you might want to look at a combination of stuff and just watch how you're doing it. But overall, it would be pretty helpful, or you start at the base of the spine rather than directly going right up to the head and make sure things are draining. So
That's a great idea. Make sure the things are draining. So start where? At the top of the head?
no, I'd start at the base actually.
At the base, okay.
Because in the base, because it's the same thing with essential oils. People always go to smell an oil like that. That's not how you do it properly. If you're trained in aromatherapy, you actually start from the base here and get the frequencies and the notes and going through the chakra. So get the things eliminated, because this hydrocephalus, depending whatever it is, it's just an increase in intracranial pressure. So I'm seeing lots of stuff happening with eyes, head, stroking. It's the same idea with aneurysms. Okay, so
Wow.
concentrate more on the base chakra. It's the same thing. I've terahertz the water going into the yoni steams, by the way, too. So, or crystals that you can do in there too.
Always start out slow, be cautious, no matter what your situation is.
Yeah.
You know, start out with 10 minutes, you know, or maybe even 5 minutes twice a day. Make sure your issue is not going to have some sort of an adverse reaction. You'll be able to feel if it does. And then if you don't, increase it. In other words, don't pick up the wand and lay there for 30 minutes and then bam, you found out that, oh my gosh, I can't start out by using this for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Start
start slow, start slow. It is pretty powerful. The Genius, runs really subtle frequencies, and we really don't have any side, like detox effects, because it's so subtle. But the the terahertz, like, start with 5 minutes, make sure you're okay, drink a lot of water, then start to build up over time. It sounds like that's a good practice, Benet. Is that right?
It's a good practice. It'll keep you out of trouble, us out of trouble, trying to teach you. It's just a good practice. If you don't have any adverse reaction, then bump your time up. You use it for longer, but start slow to begin with.
That's good. That's a good recommendation on that first.
I'm going to make a new library
setting.
on this, by the way, too.
What's that?
I just got about 20 ideas for a new library on how to start doing protocols with this, that I'm going to make a library for this, for the Genius.
Okay, totally. That's great. So Lisa says, do you think it could possibly help with deaf animals? I think one thing, I want to hear your opinion, Benet. I mean, I think it would be hard, but you could run it around the cranial nerves that have to do with healing. So if you run it sort of along the occiput of the animal and the back of the head, that might be a way to get some type of regeneration or improvement. Of course, it depends on what the cause of the deafness was. Do you have any thoughts, Benet?
It is going to depend upon the cause of the deafness. Now, I do know somebody personally that had a client on her table and she could not hear out of her left ear. And so she used the wand and blew not directly into the ear, but around, and did that for, I think she told me, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And she could hear something from her ear that she couldn't before.
Wow.
So there is the possibility to regain some hearing, but I think, like you said, it's going to depend upon what's the cause, what's really wrong in reference to why you're not hearing.
Very good. Excellent. There's a lot of hope with the wand and the terahertz technology. Any reported elimination of fibrous cysts or tumors? Yeah, Benet talked about that. Do you want to just mention again what you saw happen in those pictures?
I saw a testimony on a private Facebook page where a person had a cyst bigger than a golf ball, not the size of a baseball, protruding through the skin. And this person, if I remember the testimony correctly, maybe wanded every day for a month. And she got the cyst to completely go down. And then I think you need to repeat, Dr. Ariel, what you said probably was the cause of that toxins, repeat.
Yeah, the buildup in naturopathic school, we learned that the buildup of cysts, fibroids, these different breast cysts, things like that, is because of waste in the body. The buildup of waste, so your liver and your colon are not eliminating as much as they could, and so you get this walling off or buildup of waste in different parts where you have the place of least resistance gets to start to build up. So as you use the terahertz wand, you start to tone up the cells, make them more healthy, and also you get lymphatic drainage, and you're able to have better cellular metabolism. So you're going to eliminate waste from the cell, and that must be what's responsible for shrinking those particular cysts. It's like a detox process.
Yep.
Which is really, really cool. I mean, that's awesome. That's just fun. I do think this is the age of frequency and light, and just as we're being in a very challenging time, that always the gifts are given at that time. For every problem there's a solution. We're being, heaven is raining down these different things like the Genius and Terahertz Technology and the other things that we're seeing, which is really exciting. I guess a lot of people will be thinking about, oh, their friend has been jabbed or their loved one has been jabbed. What are both of your thoughts? Benet, we'll start with you about what can we do with a terahertz wand for somebody who's been jabbed? What can we do with a terahertz wand or the box with Terahertz Technology for somebody who's concerned about vaccinosis or shedding, that they were around somebody who was vaxxed? What are your thoughts?
Well, I got a couple thoughts, and Karen can probably expound on this. My only hesitation is if they've got a pretty potent jab with graphene oxide, I've got hesitation metal aspect situation, that's involved with that. If it's something, less than that or whatever, and then of course, I think also too with that about this is promoting blood circulation. It's promoting a healthier blood flow, a stronger blood flow. If they've got some of that junk in their blood, you might generate, something that goes right to the heart and causes something catastrophic.
But at the same time, if there's so much blood clotting and they have myocarditis, I would think this might be helpful. Oh,
You're the doctor.
Teresa?
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard to say because there's so little that we know about the jabs.
I know, and I'm not a doctor, so
Yeah.
you would be better qualified than me to think about that and what could possibly be generated from that. I think as a general whole, especially shedding, I wouldn't have
shedding. For shedding's a slam dunk. It's gonna help. It's gonna be helpful.
It's gonna
if
help.
You wand yourself after being exposed. You take it with you. Travel with it. This is very lightweight. It's easy to travel with. As is the wand. It's not very heavy at all. And so you should take this with you whenever you travel so that you can wand yourself or use the terahertz wherever you end up. Karen, what are your thoughts?
I got a lot.
I knew you would.
My favorite subject. My dissertation is going to be at the university with this one. Just came to me. But anyway, we have to remember that this is not a blood clot. Okay?
Right.
Let's get right down to brass tacks.
Some people do have viscous blood because they have myocarditis and they die of a stroke. But do you think they die of a stroke because of the white clots, or do you think they die of a stroke because there could also be something going on with their heart or the blood as well? Because also, if you want, like Dr. Ruby's show, Dr. Jane Ruby on Rumble, you guys definitely check her out. It's a great source of information. She showed at the blood bank, right? The blood that had been really scary. Vax blood was very, very dark. It looked very unhealthy compared to the nice bright red blood, all oxygenated. So there's probably something going on with both of these things, but please continue.
There's a bunch of stuff. Okay. So, and this is why I've been dealing with Dr. Ariel Love and some other people and Dr. Robert Young, because we've got a bunch of people here doing EBO, which is basically ozone. You take the blood out, it goes through an actual filtration like hemodialysis that we would do in the hospital with people in kidney failure. And then there's people doing EDTA IV, which I'm not a fan of because it's still a neurocytotoxic. It's basically a form of chemotherapy. Now, the people that are putting a lot of these pictures out pre and post, well, I could have gone back 10 years ago and I could have done the same thing with IV ozone. You can actually just take it out in a bag, almost like if you've ever seen what's called continued peritoneal dialysis, but your blood actually is taken out in this bag. They inject ozone and just throw it on the floor, mix it up, and then they reset it back.
That's amazing. Yeah, they do that for Lyme patients.
Yeah. So, in here, we've done this and you take a look at that. And when I was in the clinics, doing our little whatever investigation experiments here, is that it's always been cleaner. So it's a very falsification, or to me, a little bit of fraud, saying that, and especially EDTA, or that you're seeing this kind of lipid nanoparticles. If I took mine out, what we could see though, when we just started doing some of this, and I just talked with Lorraine Andres, which we'll be doing some stuff with upcoming as well, because she does live blood cell, and she was the first one with me doing Genius and you and Dr. Robert O. Young.
Right.
Could get this so that we could get this in front of the courts as evidence so that we could use them into protocols, which we're now using for, I'll just say, Vaccine V Canada. Vaccine Choice Canada, as protocols that Pamela Richard has put in our stuff, you guys. This stuff is actually going out into like medical schools right now. I don't know if you know what the ramifications of what we've done and getting it in here. It's now being taught in some medical schools down the States.
What is being taught in medical schools down the
using the Genius and stuff like that, and biofeedback.
Oh, wow.
And stuff that we're talking about.
Which medical schools are being talked about?
One of the institutes is Dr. Michael Gaddis Institute. There's been
all right. Well, we need to talk. Well, you and I will talk more about that.
But that was Pamela Richardson. That's Pamela Richardson that took what I did and made those protocols that went in and are now going out. So it is going out, and like we're seeing the difference. But into the injection, you have to be careful. There's one individual, and not just one, but several that have said, people like Tony Pantalleresco, who
Mhm.
is a nanotechnology AI Lime Morgellon, which is kind of what this is with the,
Mhm.
shedding transmission, is you can also aggravate it. There are also certain EMF signals because of the stealth technology that can aggravate the clients. And this is where we have to discern and get really great intakes. And that's why I usually don't take on, the other people, because we got to learn about stealth technology. And another step to Dr. Jane Ruby and Karen Kingston's work is actually Dr. David Nixon. And what we're seeing, that if you look at that blood now, looked at it in a week, looked at it in 2 weeks, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Now they're flashing lights like this. So all of a sudden the blood is changing, and we don't know if it's what's happening at 5G, 5.1G, 5.5G, or 6G, or 7 or 8G that's out right now. So the new phones will be out there. So we have to be, like you said a little bit, Vinay and Ariel, we got to, just be cautious with what you're doing. And, this is not per se, the protocols for that, because there are some certain things that we know. Like I said, it's not a blood clot. And we've been able to see through Mike Adams, like dissection of it
Right.
online, you guys can go to, is that you're seeing that it's not blood components in here.
Right.
So we have to watch what's in here. And that's where I know they said that if it's going stealth, we have to be careful. That's why I refrain myself from doing that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. You're
says
outside
here,
your scope of practice, and you're
Are
outside.
there any supplements that can bind the graphene that's found in the jab to remove it? Could you use zeolite to do it?
You never actually totally remove stuff. This is a fallacy again that we're getting out there. So there's always a residual trace. I thought of it, it's like, getting pregnant, being, going to bed, having intercourse, and saying, hi, I want to remove the sperm. Well, it's always there. There's always a residual trace. And what we're saying is that there are some things that help, but graphene is not just a substance. The only one that's done anything with half decent in there is Harold Katzvala, another colleague of mine from the basis thing. And he just spoke with Dr. Lee Merritt, who's a Navy military doctor. And I encourage you to look up Dr. Lee Merritt and Harold Katzvala's talk on it, because we call it black goo. So this is not just binding with mercury or lead.
And this is something that you had been talking about. I really didn't understand what it was, because when we first talked probably 3-4 years ago, you were talking about the black goo, and I had no idea that it was actually the graphene.
Yeah.
Why you've known about it? Tell us a little bit of the backstory on that. You've sort of known, where was it initially being deployed? In food, in the air?
It actually, and I would encourage, if you want, get a hold of me. If not, you can go to the Basis Project, number 46, or just start Googling Harold Katzvala. That's why we're saying there's some affirmation work that may be kind of helpful, because it's a program, and it is programmable. And that's why playing with different frequencies can make it go dormant and look out. So, like I said, we've got to be a little careful. That's why, we're on new ground here. And so if you go to the Basis Project, number 46, because I'm 50 and 54, I think, when we speak at international medical conferences, that goes to the military, by the way. We speak to the forces and to the special forces when we're doing this stuff.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that it came off planet. Some of it's not all made from here stuff. Actually, I'll get a different thing. That's not how it goes. But anyway, and it was what the Falkland Wars and stuff was over. And because it's programmable, you're seeing some stuff now with this ferrous fluid. So if you want to see actually how it's working, like cymatics, this stuff can be programmed at anything. So if you know how the water and the sand goes, when we see the way.
Cymatics, yeah.
Okay, so this is done through what's called, through Rice University, but it's called Tesla phoresis. And that's why you have to, with the terahertz, be careful. And like anything, even with genius people being vaccinated, because you're outside your scope of knowledge and thing here.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to know what's the best thing I think that we can do is just help people to be more healthy. And it's what we've been talking about on this show, is that this is the time, people, like there's no more fooling around. Like you just have to make a decision, like, I am going to do everything in my power to be the most healthy and resilient, because we're living through tough times. And I'm going to be as strong. I'm going to make it through this, all this wonderful self-talk, and I'm going to eat the healthiest foods, and I'm going to get the all the technologies of frequency and light that I feel called to and that I can reasonably afford. And I'm going to use them for myself, my friends, my family, and I'm going to make it through this. I'm going to be resilient through this. I think that's a calling that Spirit is asking us to make, that we need to refrain from maybe the negativity and the negative habits that we were doing in the past. Means a lot less alcohol and a lot less of whatever the thing is that could bring your immune system down or could bring your mood down. And I think that's causing us all to be lifted up. Ironically, as they try to pull us down, we're going to say no, and we're going to even go higher. I think that that's our destiny. That's what Spirit is asking us to do. So I think there's many ways for people who even have gotten jabbed to get better, for people who have been exposed in vaccinosis to get better. Definitely, there's a lot that you can do. And we're going to continue to talk about those things. We'll probably pick up the medicinal mushrooms that we didn't talk about today. We'll probably pick those up next week and continue to talk about current events and all types of solutions. Now, Karen Margaret says, I heard that Starbucks put graphene in their coffee to track their customers to see where they live to build a new Starbucks location. And I think there's probably a lot of other things that Starbucks could do, like just having like your gift card demographics and things like that. But that being said, it does sound like a rumor to me, but that being said, Karen, what do you say?
Okay, a lot of the stuff we know that we're seeing it, and you got to remember, this is probably, I've started into this stuff in 2004. Okay, and that's why I said we did stuff at Project Ascension if you want this weird stuff, and the Basis Project. Okay, that's where you see a lot of us that have been, in the think tanks, we'll just say, for, getting you guys into a healthier state as well. But in here, we've noticed it in the rainwater. Okay, it's in the food, the water supply. That's why I've always said to start looking to the trees, just like Robert Morris or Dr. Sebi. The reason the fruitarian stuff or the shaga and your essential oils, lemon, lime, grapefruit spruce, fir, pine pollen, pine stuff, is because when it comes up from the spring water, that's why they need to knock those trees down, you guys. Is it the trees or the fruits or the berries are what's holding the actual remedies for you? Because it's spring water electrolyte and it's filtering through all the different, Procambians and all the bark and everything else and the leaves through those trees. And that's going to be huge because you need a filtration system. Because right now, she's right. Stuff like Starbucks, I could get into tracking it, subtracting blood, and you're going to see a lot of it. And I don't care how grass-fed some like cow is. You're going to see that predisposition to blood and luciferase and all sorts of stuff that, some we can talk about and some not here, even if it is.
Is there any clear evidence? Like, I forget, I've watched so many Rumble shows now. I watch a lot of Stu Peters' show. He always has really hard hitting people on there. So good. So you guys check out rumble.com. We post this on rumble.com and they're coming up with such really, really good quality stuff. I'm so excited. But they said that it's in McDonald's, like all the fast food, they're trying to load it up with graphene. Why is that their strategy? Is that the easiest way for them to harm people because they're already eating toxic food, so they get a double whammy?
I actually think this is whether people like it or not, but it's creator's law. It's called quantum law. It's called spiritual law, divine law, treaty, tribal. When people were eating according to what they were supposed to be, if you study the star forts and all those and mud flood cities, you'll see that they didn't have bathrooms and stuff, but you had a lot of people that were Solarians, breatharians. Next rate is, they said, seed bearing, which was anything fruit and berries. It's that simple. I mean, that leaves you with 99% of all the stuff, not the garden stuff. And what we're seeing, and this is a fairly intelligent, group that we've been talking to. So down the rabbit hole, what is down the rabbit hole? I mean, the adrenochrome rabbit, that's where it comes from. Walking the red road, walking the red carpet is different, and all that kind of stuff. The A-list, what do you think those mean? The adrenochrome stuff. It interfaces with what we're doing, and that's one of the huge things that, they're coming right at here. I know that they have a scatter thing off here, and the new computers we'll see coming out will actually be all clear that you can see right through. You won't have anything with black screens because it's used in, as you want to say, black magic rituals, and it's like a scour.
So you're saying like when the quantum system comes in, it's going to be all clear screens?
Yeah, I did one with Greg Prescott actually about 2 years ago, and you could actually see through my Genius, through the pad. I had a mirror up, and the frequencies that they were surrounding me with, you could actually see right through me. I looked holographic, transparent, but I wasn't.
Oh, that's really
cool.
And
I'm not a holograph, and I'm not a Draco, and I'm not any of that. Okay, as anyone knows that see my broken knees and everything else here. So I think that's one of the huge things. And for me, I sat there the other day with my little thing up here blowing like this. You'd think I was going back to the delivery room. But the reason why is because I'm one of the people that reacts to people that have been with the injection or the PCR or have slept with those people. And right away, my system's like, whoa, you know, I go into like a spastic shock. It's like delivering a baby. It's like, get this poison out of my system and ground out. And
Wow.
so that's one of the reasons why it's nice to have something like this. I've noticed a huge difference going into the root chakra. And for women with prolapses and stuff, bladders, men with prostate, just do it carefully.
You know, just exactly on the note of Rumble and Stupeters, did
Yeah.
you hear that one of that there was an article on that Robert Malone did on Substack where
Yeah.
he was debunking died suddenly, and he said,
Yeah.
I don't think we should be so suspicious of, I think we should be gentle on people. We shouldn't be so suspicious of these fibrous clots. And he was basically trying to debunk the whole movie and say that it didn't have merit. Why do you think, is Robert Malone controlled opposition? Why is he doing this?
Do you want to not only see that? I've heard stuff out of Dr. Brian Artis's thing, like the whole venom, and now he's got everyone. Oh, we're all gonna take nicotine patches. It's like we're all smokers.
I've never felt good about Brian.
I'm not
Dr.
into
Otis,
that, or what these guys have done. You know, actually suing people. Let's say like Dr. Jane Ruby and the stuff that's going on with Dr.
Right, because Robert
Oh.
Malone is suing Jane Ruby for defamation, and it says in the claim
Yeah.
in the complaint, it says she said mean things or something silly like that.
Look it up, but
Anyway,
you know which side they're on. So I don't get too much, but you have to watch in here, you know, in there. And that's what I said, you have to be careful. And this is where having a little anatomy or something like that, or if you're not sure, ask one of
Yeah.
us that's got some medical background that we could help you on or experience in that. Because, you
Yeah.
know, one of the things too, like I said, that's why I always went, there's a reason why I don't want to touch anyone. And unless I knew something very specific, or I gave the client the option and said, you want to use my thing, you can use it, but I'm not doing it. You know,
All right.
and I'd rather you go
Mm.
take the 2-week free trial than you guys tackling with something. Because like I said, this whole thing about, they haven't even come out with the stealth technology. You're just hearing a little bit about it by Nixon. And that's what you're seeing is he goes, well, it was here and tomorrow it's not, but then it's here. And it's like in
Yeah, it's going in and out of
it's going
dimension. That's
interdimensional.
crazy. That's
It's going
crazy.
like arconic
I s-
interdimensionally.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and summarize here. We really appreciate everybody joining us today. I think there was just another question put in the Q&A, so we'll definitely try to get to it. You know, we've been talking today about things that can make you resilient, things that can make you stronger. This is definitely in the same realm of utilizing the genius to lift yourself up, to make your cells stronger, better, more coherent. More coherent means that your physiology works the very, very best that it can. It's like they're vibrating at their perfect rate, at their optimal frequency. And terahertz appears to really help the body with this, to help the cells vibrate at their perfect frequency, to give them a tune-up, and to help us to release a lot of metabolic waste, to help cellular metabolism improve. What we notice is that we immediately feel better in a very short amount of time. I think the nice thing with terahertz is it sort of gives you an instant gratification. You almost every time after using it sort of feel better after doing a session. At least that's been my experience. Bené, has that been yours as well?
Oh, absolutely. Most definitely. So
Yeah, and Karen, I know you've been using it as well, probably similar thing. Okay, the question, Dr. Cowan. I think Dr. Cowan has a lot of good information. We're not going to get too much into him today. I know he did a great thing about the heart and the vortices and everything. We could definitely talk about him more next time, but I do think he's a pretty good person to listen to. So we've really been talking about the terahertz. So you get a $50 coupon on either the wand or the box, or we could work it out where you can get coupons on both. You know, if you want to get both of them, you certainly could do that. You may end up wanting to have both of them that work in different ways. But right now, people have really been very, very interested in the box because the box runs red light and blue light, doesn't run as hot, and has many, many more, 5 times more of the actual terahertz chip in there. So I think it's more sort of efficient and sort of like reserved, like you can get a lot of power, but it's not like blasting you or overheating you. So I could understand why people like it. And also has these metals actually woven into this mirror piece, which is metals of iodine, of iron, of zinc, and even titanium, but titanium that is used in a positive way. So when you're running the frequencies, it will help you to experience the positive benefits of the minerals. And we do have some information on that we can send to you about the benefits of those minerals as the terahertz frequencies runs through them. And as Benet showed us today, you can actually take this little guy out and put some essential oils right in here and run terahertz frequencies through your sacred frankincense or your thieves or whatever it might be. I mean, you are going to be so invincible, just like Karen talks about. You're not going to need your ivermectin. You're not going to need those medications. You've got the genius. You've got a terahertz technology. You've got the knowing different things like the alfalfa and things that Karen has recommended, like from swadehills.com. So you've got everything you need to stay super healthy and resilient during this time.
Oh yeah, and I got Janine and Nats and a bunch of girls here, like only blocks and a few miles away. Have a community. I really suggest, and that's something.
That's a great idea.
Once we get the, I think you're still working on that, but where we actually live, we need to get a map of each area, state, province, whatever areas you're in, so that you can develop that community, because it makes a big difference.
That's a good idea.
2-3 of us, like we had at steamychick.com, so you could find every yoni therapist. But that was one of the things here. And there's something I spent some time in talking. There's a doctor, medical doctor, Ayurvedic and osteopath doctor that's done a lot of this kind of stuff to do with the sound. When you were talking about the frequencies of the zinc and how that's being done.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but Dr. Debbie Drake is in the Genius community, and she's done multiple things to do with sound. And she did a lot of it from the musical scale, but she took zinc is this, and this is why this is going in. And
I think Sherry Edwards is going to give us some information about that too on the 19th. Yeah. Well, Karen, I want to wind it up because it's getting pretty late, and Benet's in Central Time there, so she's super late. But we'll pick up on this about sound and minerals next time and the frequency. I would love to talk more about that. And definitely check out Vaccine Canada, even though it's Vaccine Ve, because Karen, you were on, and I heard you on the Christiane Northrup, and I want everybody to watch the Christiane Northrup. Boy, she's been super red pilled since this whole COVID thing, like super, 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 talking about the Dracos and everything. Like, that's amazing.
Well, you should have seen what got cut out, but because they're cutting me out. But I was on James Ryszkowski. There probably isn't anyone I haven't talked to in here, because I'm running these things to meet with them so that we can establish a report, so that we can bring them and offer.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned my name and you mentioned the genius to Christiane Northrup. Like, thank you. That's amazing. And I'd love to get her. I'd love to talk with her more. She seems so open to talking. So maybe we could even have her on the podcast and talk with her. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much, Benet. Thank you, everybody. And I can't wait to meet with you next week. We'll see you next week, everybody. Take care and be well. Bye-bye for now.